This week in the state of Alabama, the biggest football game of the year. And in this state, it really doesn't even matter what happens the rest of the way for Alabama. This game means a lot. It's Iron Bowl week. Alabama heads down to play Auburn. The Tide rolling right now. 8th in the country, 10-1 on the season. They're in position to get to the college football playoff, win the SEC. Every goal that they had set at the beginning of the year is right in front of them. Auburn lost to New Mexico State last time out. It's been a disappointing season for Hugh Freeze, his first run as Auburn's head coach. All that could change on Saturday, though, if they could upend the Crimson Tide. We're going to talk about this year's Iron Bowl. Welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Hey, if you're not already part of this big tailgate party, well, let me give you your invitation. Like, subscribe, it's free. Give us a thumbs up if you like Alabama content. Let's talk about the Crimson Tide as they get set to take on the Auburn Tigers. All right, here we go. It's that time of year again. I'm Mick Gillispie, and welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Make sure that you are part of it, like and subscribe, as I said before. All right, let's get into business here. Let's start talking about this matchup. It's the CBS game this Saturday, the Iron Bowl, 2:30, Jordan-Hare Stadium, the Crimson Tide of Alabama, and the Auburn Tigers. And they go head-to-head again. And this one's kind of an interesting matchup. Not that all of them aren't, but Alabama had the loss, second game of the season. They were beaten by Texas, and they've continued to get better and better each week. They're 10-1 on the year. They win the game against Auburn, they're 11-1. Then they got to go play in Atlanta in the SEC championship game. The matchup everyone wanted, Georgia, who has the longest winning streak in the country, against the Crimson Tide, the last team that beat them, and they did it in the SEC championship game, and Georgia went on to win the national championship. This year, it doesn't look like the loser of that football game is going to get in to the college football playoff, although a lot can change, although there's only 2 weeks left, so we'll see. I doubt it, though. I think it's a playoff game to get into the playoff. For the Auburn Tigers, they're coming off one of the worst losses I can remember them having. Not only did they lose at home, but they got whooped at home by New Mexico State, a team that they paid almost $2 million to come to town, had never beaten an SEC school before. Now, New Mexico State is surprisingly having a pretty good season, but Auburn was throttled at home by them 31-10. What does that mean? Well, to me, it means that Auburn, who had 3 straight wins, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas, and they handily beat those teams. The game that they lost in that streak before that was a 7-point defeat to the Ole Miss Rebels. So you're not talking about a team that was playing bad football. What it shows is that Hugh Freeze and their coaching staff was preparing for Alabama and not taking care of the team that they had in front of them, and it cost them. And they can say that that's not what happened, but you know that's what happened. There's just no way they would have gotten blown out at home by New Mexico State. And that's kind of why this game has historically been the one before the Iron Bowl, kind of a cupcake opponent, but not this year for Auburn. 49-37-1, the all-time record when Alabama plays Auburn. Alabama, though, has won 3 straight, and they've won 7 out of 10 with Nick Saban. Remember, when Nick Saban took over, Alabama had lost 5 in a row. Then he lost to Tommy Tuberville, his first Iron Bowl, and that was the longest 6 games winning streak that Auburn has ever had. So Nick Saban, counting that 2007 Iron Bowl, is now 11-5 in the biggest game in the Cotton State all year long, the Yellowhammer State, however you want to say it. 11-5 in the Iron Bowl, Nick Saban's record. And he's dominated series against a lot of the big competition that Alabama plays. But not Auburn and not down on the plains. Now, Hugh Freeze was hired, and remember now he was the coach at Ole Miss, and when he was there, he beat Nick Saban twice. And it was 2 years in a row, and that was a rare occurrence. Not a lot of coaches have ever beaten Nick Saban back-to-back games. So Hugh Freeze did it. He's 2-3 against Nick Saban and Alabama, but not in the Iron Bowl. This is the first time that he's going to coach in the Iron Bowl. So Alabama, last time they needed that Bryce Young drive at the end of the game to force overtime, and then 1 and 4 overtimes to take the Iron Bowl. Nick Saban, with that win, only 4-4 Jordan-Hare Iron Bowl games. And Alabama's had some really memorable, tough losses there. The kick six was a bad loss that took place there. They've had leads late and blown them. There's been weird things that have happened down there. Some people call it voodoo. Some people call it Auburn Jesus. Bo Nix beat Alabama when he was Auburn's quarterback. Now he's a Heisman contender for Oregon. So that's what Auburn's quarterback, Peyton Thorne, is hoping to do today. And you can tell when Auburn's going to be in these football games, a lot of times it's great play from their QB. Thorne, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, just under 1,600 yards passing. It's been an up and down campaign for him. He's been in, he's been out, he's been in, he's been out, now he's in. And that's, I'm guessing, most likely who Alabama is going to face. Now, I'd say Auburn's the toughest guy that they have on their team to defend is Jarquez Hunter, their running back. He's got 7 touchdowns, almost 800 yards on the ground. He's a good back and someone that Auburn's going to try to get the ball to and try to get him in space to make some plays. Alabama's done a nice job this year to limit running backs. Running quarterbacks have been tough for Alabama over the years, and Thorne can run a little bit, but I don't look at him as a Peyton Daniel, Jaden Daniels type, where he's going to be able to just keep on running and running and running, and you're not going to be able to catch him. Auburn's offense has been up and down. Hugh Freeze doesn't really have the talent to run the type of offense that he'd probably like to run. He's talked about, the fact that he doesn't really have the horses yet at times. But the teams played well. I mean, it looked like they were going to quit early in the season when they were struggling, and then they rolled off some really good games and 3 straight wins, and then the New Mexico State game, which is a little bit of a red herring, just because I'm thinking that they just put all their time into this Iron Bowl and thought, hey, we'll go out there and beat those guys, and it didn't happen. Alabama's season's been topsy-turvy, but this team's gotten better and better ever since they made the switch to Jalen Milroe at quarterback. And he's a guy that's already starting to get some mention in the Heisman Trophy race. He's a dual threat QB, and he really can run. I mean, he's probably the best running back on the field, counting Hunter and whoever else Alabama has. I mean, he's just that good at running, but he throws the ball as well. 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 2,267 yards. He's shown leadership, poise. I think that he worked through an injury, probably getting ready for the Texas A&M game. That's what reports came out, and he didn't run much. And it looked like he was kind of hobbled, so he had to throw, and I think that made him a better quarterback. So now all of a sudden he can run and throw, and I think you'll see that against Auburn and then against Georgia. It's a weapon that you got to be careful with if you're Alabama, because you don't want the guy to get hurt. But at the same time, it's one of the biggest assets that he has, and it's really tough to defend. He gets outside of the pocket, and there's some green grass. He's going to take off, and you're lucky to bring him down. The other guy that I wanted to highlight for Alabama is receiver Jermaine Burton. This is the transfer from Georgia. Alabama has spread the ball out pretty well to the wide receivers, but Jermaine Burton has been their go-to guy. He had the huge game at Texas A&M. Maybe he'll have the huge game against Auburn on Saturday. 29 catches, just under 650 yards, 6 touchdowns. And he's made some really nice catches over the course of the season. For Alabama, they're going into a hostile environment. And, I was surprised when I saw that the spread was only 10.5 for Auburn. I figured Alabama would be a 17-point favorite or more. I think Vegas is still trying to figure out, is this Alabama team legit? They've struggled in Auburn over the years. Are they going to struggle again on Saturday? Or are they going to start fast and put Auburn in a spot where they're having to score and catch up? And I think that's what this game's going to come down to. If Alabama jumps on these guys early, I don't know that they have the offense against Alabama's really good defense to be able to come back from multiple scores. Auburn's going to need turnovers. They're going to need some luck, and they're going to have great quarterback play. For Alabama, protect the football, score points when you can early, put Auburn in a spot where they got to drive the field. And then the other thing, and I think that we're going to see a lot of this, is if Auburn punts the ball, who's back there? Is it Kool-Aid or is it Caleb Downs? Catch the punts, know which ones to catch, know which ones to let go. But Kool-Aid has had a lot of struggles back there. We saw Downs. If it is Downs, how's he going to react to catching punts in a really loud place, not against Chattanooga and Tuscaloosa, but at Auburn in the Iron Bowl? And then after that, in Atlanta against undefeated Georgia. So that's kind of where we're at right now with this whole thing. So it's exciting. 2:30 again. The Iron Bowl Saturday, Jordan-Hare Stadium, Alabama and Auburn. We're going to continue to preview this thing, break it down with different shows on the channel. So make sure that you guys you stick around. I mean, this is what it's all about. And then when they win that one, we're going to be previewing the SEC championship game. So welcome to the channel if it's your first time. And if you've been here before, hey, grab a drink and come over and hang out. Let's talk. Thanks a lot, guys. And again, like and subscribe and roll Tide.